Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation and demonstration of DOTEbase. This is the first official presentation that we do in a public space, so we are really happy to share DOTEbase with all of you. We will be recording the seminar, but only for no names will show up in the final recording. It's just for us to have a collection of that and also to present it to others. So we have 1 hour, and we will try to cover as much as possible before we end with a Q&A session, so we can also answer some of your questions. From the Dote team, we are Paul, Alex, and me today, and we are happy to share DOTEbase with you. So we will run through a brief introduction to DOTEbase, then we will enlighten you on the basic concepts behind DOTEbase in order to understand the principles. Then we will do a demonstration of some of the core features of DOTEbase, and then we will have the Q&A session. So just to tell you a little bit about where we are from. We are from Aalborg University. We are part of a research infrastructure called VILA. We basically deal with audiovisual data. We have developed other pieces of software, AVA, DOTE, and then other prototypes. And now we have released DOTEbase. And that was just to give you an idea about where we're from. We are a team of researchers and developers, Paul, Jacob, Alex, and then we have Jonas, a former student worker, and then Arthur, who started out with DOTE development back in the days. So we're a team of 3 now, working on DOTEbase and the design and development. If you haven't already seen it, we have a web page at doteau.dk, where you can read more about the different license types, and you can also purchase licenses. DOTE is still free in a basic version, but if you want to use the premium features of DOTE and DOTEbase, then you will have to pay for a license. We have an online help guide with a lot of different resources that can provide answers to most questions. We have a YouTube channel, which we will also be updating with new videos over the coming month to give you the best possible entry point for working with DOTEbase. We have our Discord server, which is also where we answer questions if you have any questions about DOTEbase. And then we have our GitHub repository. So that's just basic info about DOTE and DOTEbase. We have now users from almost all over the world, which we're very happy about. These are only the known users that we have. We have more than 4,500 downloads of the free version of DOTE. So DOTE is really used many places today. So we are really happy about that, and also thankful for all the support that we receive. Yes.
So I'll pick up here and talk about some of the principles or concepts behind DOTEbase, why we developed it. And one of the key things is what is DOTEbase and what is it not? Because, of course, unlike with DOTE, we don't really support in DOTE inside the software some AI speech recognition system, but you can do that outside the software and import it, for example, using OpenWhisper. Then the same with DOTEbase, there's certain things that it does and it doesn't do. So what is it? It's a tool to support qualitative analysis. And given that we do a research within, you could say, the ethnomethodological conversational analytical tradition, but we are thinking of it quite broadly, then we're very much geared towards supporting that sort of, those sort of scholarly practices. And it's a set of flexible assembled spaces, which are locally distributed media and transcripts. What we wanted was to develop something that you could have transcripts and all of your media, but spread out across your file system on external drives, on network drives, and be able to assemble them into new possibilities for doing some analysis with, and doing that over and over again using the same transcripts or the same media in different projects. So it's very, very flexible, and it's very local. And it's a tool that allows you to comment on clips and media and transcript, as we'll demo today. There's many aspects and tools that we could demo, but we're going to focus on certain ones a bit later on today. And then it's a tool that uses data and metadata that's transparent and non-proprietary, meaning it's plain text, it's stored in a way that's easily readable by humans as well as by computers, and it's non-proprietary. It's not in a database which is in a binary form that cannot be read by anybody except a machine. So you can always go back. If something goes wrong, you can inspect these files and then recover your data. So that's a principle we have. So what it is not, it's not a tool for quantitative analysis. We're not supporting that. There's plenty of tools for doing that. It's not a closed database. It's something that is open and transparent. It's not a web tool, so we have no connection to a web browser. It's not a cloud-based tool, so we're not supporting the cloud, and there's good reasons for that with GDPR and questions of privacy, security, and encryption, which we don't want to enter into that. There's always a danger there, and people are nervous. Scholars are nervous about that. So there's no connection with when you work on your computer, and you have to, if you have your secure computer and your data is secure, and that's your business, then there's nothing is sent anywhere at all. It's only the license which is dealt with online with our license server. That's the only thing. And it's not a miracle tool that's going to, as some people think, that AI could solve all your analytical problems. There is no AI component, no chat GPT element to our software. Okay, so that's giving you some idea of what DOTEbase isn't and what it could do. So just quickly, some of the principles, and then we'll take a look at some demo. So one is clipping, this idea that you could make a nice clip. And just think if you have a DOTE project and you have some DOTE transcripts, and DOTE has been around now for nearly 2 years. So we're hoping some of you have actually tried DOTE and bought a license or have used the free edition. Then DOTE has a bunch of media, and you can make a project which has a bunch of media around an event, and then you can make transcripts. And that means you can have a waveform of some of those active media and then a transcript. And here's an example, a simple example in DOTE. What DOTEbase is to do, which is a primary concern of ours, was how can we have lots and lots of projects with lots of transcripts and media, maybe from very, very different events, but we want to try and find a particular phenomena and start working with it. Then we want to make clips, and then we want to collect those clips together, and maybe we want to visualize them. So that's what we've been working on for 1.5 years. So think of it in your timeline, your waveform, there's a temporal chronological flow of visual and audio. Then there we might want to make clips. And then in our transcript, we might want to make little clips and annotate those. So the whole point of DOTEbase is to be able to do that. And in DOTE itself, you can do clip annotations in your transcripts, but not in your media. So DOTEbase supports that across both media and transcripts, but we have implemented it also in DOTE, as you'll see. So those are giving some idea. We want to make clips of some type. And then the way that we're going to do that with DOTEbase is to make a DOTE space, which is basically that we have some media and transcripts, maybe on a hard drive, maybe on a mapped network folder, maybe on an external drive. And those we want to combine together, some elements of those, things that maybe we have some media with no transcripts, and then we have some transcripts made with based on some media. And we make a DOTE space. And in that, we create watch folders. So on our hard drive, we want to watch something on the C drive, something on a D drive, maybe on a mapped network folder, which I have several mapped network folders. Then I want to monitor everything in that folder. And on an external drive, I want to monitor everything in that folder. And I can have any number of folders, and I can add new folders or remove folders. And that makes up a DOTE space. And I can have multiple DOTE spaces. So I can reuse the same projects in places I've used them already for a DOTE space, and I can make new ones. I could copy them and start working on them in different ways. So a DOTE space is one instantiation of a collection of folders to watch, and every subfolder in that folder will be watched as well. So that means if you put anything in a subfolder, maybe because you have a nice system of organizing all of your data and your transcripts, your media files, then if you do that, then it will watch everything underneath this watch folder, all subfolders all the way down. So that makes a DOTE space, and that's the primary object for which we work with in DOTEbase. And those watch folders, just think of it as, well, I have a DOTE project, for example, here, and I have another one here and another one here, and they're stored in different places. A DOTEbase 1 could take a watch folder that includes Dote Project 1, and that becomes its DOTEbase. Whereas DOTEbase 2 could take that same project and also take another one. So those two would share that. DOTEbase 3 could take Dote Project 2, which is completely different, and that becomes one of the projects in DOTEbase 3. Whereas Dote Project 3 is not included in any of those. So that's private. That's not going to be something that DOTEbase will work with. So you can decide, and you could include Dote Project 3 in any of the other DOTEbases at any time. So that means you can start collecting, and if you get later on, or if you're working in a team, you get new transcripts, new projects developed, you can just add those at any time. And all those are local. So that means here that Dote Project 1 is shared between these two DOTEbases, it turns out, but all the data is stored locally pretty much in Dote Project 1. And here, this is taking a different Dote Project 2, and that's only the one in DOTEbase 3, whereas Dote Project 3 is not included in any at the moment. So you can see you're quite flexible, and you can have hundreds, thousands of projects and transcripts. There's no limit to how many you might want to use. Okay, I think we're about done with that. And over to the demo. So I'll continue demoing 2 features, and then Jakob will take over, and then I'll finish off with the last 2, and then we'll have a questions. So now we'll share some other screen. So now you should see Dote. And if you've been working with Dote for the last year and a half, then what you see here will look new, in the sense that suddenly we have some annotations that have been made, what we call transcript clips. Everything else is the same. There was a bunch of bug fixes and slightly new features, and you can find those in the release notes. But otherwise, this is the same at the moment. We will be working later this semester, an autumn semester, on Dote 2.0, but this is Dote 1.1.0 at the moment. So what we'll have here, you can see, is there's a clip here, and if I hover over it, you'll see it pops up with different information that's been made for all these transcript clips. And notice there are different types. So this is much more wonderful than Word, for example, in making comments. If I go down, you'll see we've got colored circles, which are sort of like handwritten. We have highlighted blocks, and then we have blocks which have a border to them, and they can be overlapped and embedded. So they can overlap. Here you've got one that's embedded inside another one. They don't have to be discrete. You can have multiple different types, and you can change. And notice there is a red bracket giving you some idea of the scope of the comment. And these are called transcript clips, and you can do this in Dote now. If you download the latest version of Dote, then this becomes available. If you have the free edition, you can view them in the Lego demo project, or if somebody else has made them, but you can't create them or edit them yourself. So here you see I have create clip and delete clip at cursor, and then I have this button. If I click this, they disappear. So if I don't want to see any of the comments, I can make them go away. You can do that with the free edition, but you can't edit or create clips. Because that's only available in DOTEbase, and you'll see in a moment that the DOTEbase does all of this and a little bit more. Notice also we have tags. These are telling us the tags attached to these clips, and you can use emojis in those tags if you wish. So if I want to open one of these, I can right-click on this and edit clip. So you'll see it opens up, edit transcript clip. I have some tags, 2 tags. I have an annotation, any amount of text. I can expand it here, and I can add any amount of text. And I can choose a styling for this. So I'll just shrink that a bit so we see everything. And I could choose a color. If I click that, you'll see we open up with a color manager, a color wheel, and we have default colors, and we have presets. And these come from DOTEbase, these presets. So I can make a set of preset colors that I wish to be associated with certain types of clips. You can choose from a range of different possibilities here of what would you like: an underline, a highlight, a strike through, a bracket, a box. And we've seen so far box, circle, highlight. And I can choose a background color if it's appropriate. And for these cases with a box, it is appropriate. And I can make user-defined fields. If I make one called name, then that name will start appearing in certain places, but I can make any. So it's a already decided category of name. But if I make it, I could make a name called author or a name called date, and I could add information here that I wish. And those are all searchable as well. So you can see we've got a bunch of things I can change. If I edit selection, I could go back and I could edit. So it might be that the scope of it is a little bit wrong. I've changed the transcripts. You can edit transcripts and everything will readjust. If you delete all the lines here, of course, the comment will disappear. The transcript clip will disappear. But if you edit inside, it won't disappear. And you might wish to change the scope of this because of some new part of your transcript. So you can do this inside DOTE. If I now switch over to DOTEbase, now we're here in DOTEbase, and here I'm choosing a layout. We have a bunch of layouts: starting layout, media clipping layout, transcript clipping layout. This is the layout I've chosen, but you can see a searching layout, comparing transcripts, managing clip collections, and a 4K, the works, which I'll show a bit later. So, and I have a bunch of my own ones here. So you can make your own layouts, which allow you to have the right tools in the right place for the job you need to do. And currently here, we have a DOTE space. This one I have open. This has a number of projects and transcripts in them, different Jeffersonian Mondadan versions. I have a media player and a timeline down here. I have a transcript open. And notice this is the same transcript as in DOTE. If I go back, you'll see here it's a bit of a larger font, which I've chosen here for this. But to fit everything in, I have a slightly smaller font here in this user interface. And here, these are identical because this is the same file with the same metadata. So this is available. And if I wanted to open it in DOTE, I could have it in DOTEbase and just click here and it would open up in DOTE. So I could start editing it because one can't edit transcripts in DOTEbase. Editing is all done in here, as are sync codes and video cues down here, which will allow you to zoom in and pan around your video automatically as you play. All the control you need for transcription is available here. Now you start to move to analysis in this DOTEbase window with all these different panels. And over here we have clips, all the clips we've made so far, and collections that Jakob will talk about in a moment. So integration with DOTE and DOTEbase is very tight. And here we see the same thing is reproduced, but we get a few more things. If I just open this quickly, it's currently locked because you can't work on this if it's open in DOTE at the same time, and that's the red marking. So it was giving me a helpful warning. If I open up, say, a Mondadan version here, this transcript is not locked. And if I go down, you'll see, we have one here, which is equivalent to the one that we had in the Jeffersonian, but it was only 2 lines. Here we have a few more multimodal actions. If I right-click, I can edit that. And now we have presets, which aren't available in DOTE. If I click that, I've made some presets here because these are particular types of transcript clips I wish to make. They could be media clips as well, as we'll see in a moment. And so I can select these, and then this tells about which aspects of the clip will be changed if I click one of these. So you can have your own long list here of special clips that you can apply as presets. And that means you could have the tags you'd like, a particular annotation text you'd like, and certain type of styling, as well as user-defined fields, and they will be reproduced. All you have to do is save that preset when you've made it to your liking, and then you can apply it to any other new clip. And here also, if I click on this, you'll see we have not only a swatch manager and defaults and presets. If I go down, we have presets for all the other projects and transcripts. So there are many preset colors which we could choose from and then start using in other projects. So there's a very sophisticated color manager for those who like using colors, which I do, for color coding things as you're developing a particular analysis, proto-analysis. Then it's some sort of mnemonic for things, which in this case is very useful for that's that type of phenomena I'm looking for with that coloring scheme I've used with that sort of highlighting or styling. Okay, I'm going to leave this sharing mode and give it over to Jakob to continue on media clips.
Yes. Okay. So Paul has talked you through transcript clips, and I will now tell you a little about the way that you can create media clips. So media clips we also developed so you can start with without transcribing the entire data set. So it's a way of getting to know your data, to organize the data and look into certain segments of the data that could be of interest at a later point. So the media clips, we have also a specific layout for dealing with media clipping. So if I select media clipping, then this is our preferred way of organizing and working with media clips. And basically, media clips are a way of producing a score-based, not a transcript, but a score-based way of dealing with the data. If you're familiar with Elan, this is pretty close to Elan, but it's not. We don't use it for transcription. We use it for making clips for later analysis or for viewing across the data set, organizing and finding clips for later points in time. So basically, here we have the clip organizer. I will just enlarge that a little bit. Oh, like this. So we have our media clip organizer. We have a number of tiers down here. You can create your own tiers, so it will fit whatever purpose your project you're working on. And then we have the media clips that are linked to this score-based way of representing the data out here. So you can create a media clip easily by holding down Shift and then finding out where should the media clip be, and then we can create a new clip, and I'll just show you that. So now I can create a new media clip within that specific point in time. So we have an in point and an out point, and the media clip is created inside that. We could use already predefined presets if we want to do that. I can also enter tags, and you see the tags that we have previously used are also appearing here. And then we can create comments, and then we can play around, as Paul also showed with the transcript clips. We can play around with background colors and so on, and then we can add it to an existing tier, or we can create a new tier and place the media clip on that tier. So now you can see I didn't create that clip, so I will not go back. But we can look at some of the already existing clips here in the project. First of all, we have a few options here. We have now locked, so I cannot move around the clips here in the tiers. But if I unlock that, so now I've selected the option to move clips between tiers. So if I wanted to move this clip to another tier, then you can see that it also inherits the basic information. You can see that it's changing colors as I move between the tiers. So that's one way of moving around the clips in the different tiers. Another option is to move them on a horizontal level. So now I can move the clip to a different time position. I can also extend or minimize the in and out points of the media clip in order to find the correct position. And we can zoom in on the media on the waveform in order to extend the media clip organizer view as well. Then we can I'll just click here again. We can decide if we want to show tags or the user-defined fields or not anything. So there's different ways of showing what the content is of the individual media clip. You also have the opportunity to delete tiers and the content on the tiers if you use the settings here. So that's the basic way of working with media clips. You can create an infinite number of tiers, and then you can put media clips on top of that. Good. So that was a brief introduction to the media clips. Now I will just show you briefly how to work with the collections. So I will change layout. We have a predefined way of managing clip collections, but I will use my expanded version today just to show you the connection between the collections or the content of the collections and then the individual file or transcript. So here we have a collection. This is what is inside the Lego demo project. We have a collection on counting, and you can see when I click that collection, the collection viewer is updating. So this is the content of that particular collection. We have 3 transcript clips. The transcript clips are marked with this faded yellow. And then we have, we could go to another collection. We will see here that we have the table 2. There we have both media clips, which are this light blue. And then we have also our transcript clips. So this is a way of organizing the data. And I can take all my clips, if I open the clip viewer, and put that onto a specific collection. So this is a very easy way of organizing the data. And what we also want to show you here is that when you have like opened a collection here, then you can click on this icon, and then the transcript or the media player will update to that current clip. So now you should the media player updated, and we can also see that in the media clip organizer, the clip is highlighted. So whenever I click over here on the icon, this will update. So the media player updated the location, and the waveform updated the location, and also here the clip is highlighted in the media clip organizer. And the same goes for our transcripts. So here you see that the media player updated, and we also highlighted the specific transcript clip. So when you have a collection, then you can easily browse through all the items in that collection, all the clips in that collection, in order to see the content of that and analyze across a data set or several DOTE projects. Yes. So that was a basic intro to the media clip organizer and also the collection browser, including the collection viewer. So I will just stop sharing, and then Paul will take care of the rest.
Yeah. So these are just a few of the many, many different exciting tools that are available. So we'll just finish off with talking about the canvas and search. Because what you can do, as we've just seen, is make lots of clips on your transcripts and your media files. And the idea is, well, when you first get some data, you just want to mark up the media. You don't really know where to transcribe yet. So we support that fully here inside DOTEbase. And once you get transcribing, then you can move over to DOTE, do some rich transcription, and then come back to DOTEbase and then start working with all of these different clips that you have tagged and annotated and worked up with your own user-defined fields and some nice colors. So once you've made those sort of collections, and you can drag and drop these collections and put them in sub-collections, make an infinite number of sub-collections and sub-collections, you might want to start visualizing this in some way. And up here, you'll see amongst all the tools we have is Open Canvas. So if I open the canvas, you'll see here we've already prepared 2 elements of a canvas. This canvas is in fact infinite. So if I zoom out, you'll see I could put any number of elements on this canvas and start moving between them. And if I just, on these tools down here, I can say, show me everything you can that's possible. And I can use this to move around. These are clips that we've made for all of those projects and transcripts that you've seen so far. They're listed here, and I can do it according to DOTEspace or project or transcript. It will tell me, and I can search for those. All I have to do is drag and drop them on here, and then I can start connecting them and putting them side by side. And we've made 2 here as an example. If I move to this point here, and if I zoom in, you'll see, 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 you'll see I could just about fit it in with that zoom. Hopefully you can read that. We have Lego demo, and this is some sort of flow chart, temporal flow chart of key things that might be important in trying to analyze the Lego game that we have as open data. So one is there's a countdown, as we've seen earlier on the first transcripts for DOTE and DOTEbase. Then there's some sort of countdown, and here are the details of the countdown. These clips, if I click on them, will go straight there in the main DOTEbase window. It gives me what the tags are. What happens then is that one of the members of the group runs to the other table. So P2 visits table 2, where there's a Lego block that she has to try and reconstruct with the group back at table 1. So here gives you some idea. At table 2, her first visit, second visit, third visit, fourth visit, fifth visit, etc. I think that one actually moved accidentally earlier. I'll just put it back to there. It is connected here. And then there's some swearing goes on, but this is often with herself. One time she swears when she's at the table with the others in the group. So this is a block I can create, which I can actually move around. You can see here I can move it as a group. I can move individual ones wherever I want. I can drag and drop from here. For example, I might want to drag this one here, and then we've got a new one here. I can right click and delete it. I can add special boxes with special text or icons here, special types of boxes that might have meaning. I can add information of all sorts, and I can search across to find the right one. In fact, in DOTEbase, if I just go back to DOTEbase, you'll see here, if I say right click on this one, orange, I can send clip to canvas. And if I do that, and I go back to the canvas, it's down here, and I can drag it here, and I've dragged it on. So a clip you can really quickly, either by searching for them or just by finding it when you're doing a bit of analysis in DOTEbase, and drag it here onto the canvas ready. So I'll just delete that one. So, and you can do that for media clips as well. And you can see the coloring here shows some of these are transcript clips in the sort of faded orange, and the faded blue is the media clips. And then over here is another representation, which is all times that all clips where the orange block is mentioned. And these are all encompassing. So the yellow block, brown block, special blocks, flower block shapes, just because you might want to track particular types of things. And these blocks you see are grouped together. So there's a lot of you can do with the canvas that's quite sophisticated in visualizing, and you can make multiple representations on the same canvas and just move between them. And you can export these as well. If I right click, you can download an image of these, so you will have an image in a multiple variety of formats, as well as you can see adding different types of nodes. Even all clips from the Lego demo DOTEbase. Not advisable if you've got thousands of clips, because all 1,000 will appear at once. So it's only useful if you have a small number of clips to start with. So if I go back to DOTEbase, this was a mode I wanted to, you could see here another transcript using a multiple embedding of different transcript clips. A slightly different version here of the media clips that we just saw Jakob explaining. And here we have search. But what I'm going to do is change the layout to searching, so we have a bit of a bigger search space here to be able to view it. We don't have any transcripts, but if I want a transcript, for example, if I click here and I click transcript, we can get a transcript window appearing, and I can drag it around to here, for example, if I want it below, or I might want it at the side here. So I can move things around, position them anywhere I want, and then save this layout. It might be, if I get rid of, no, I just put it back here as a little tab, then we can see that at the same time as the media. So here in search, you can add a search term, and you get a nice colorful guide to searching. Here you can choose to search over transcripts or tags or annotations or user-defined fields. If we say transcripts, then we can add a search term here. We can decide as well, do we want to search for transcripts that contain the search term, or maybe lines that contain it? And we'll switch to lines. So we're looking for any lines that contain an term. And I'm going to choose yes, because I know it will work, but we could have choose any number or any string here and enter it. We could add multiple ones and then decide whether we want to find any one of them or all of them at the same time in a line or a transcript. And I might want to, for example, if I say none, I might want to find it in translation lines. And I'll say, we'll just show it with all first of all, and you'll see why. If I search, now we get all the places in the transcript where we have a line where yes is, and you can see it's highlighted, but we're getting the main head of the neighborhood where we're getting we are getting, yeah, we're not getting any Danish here because this is a Danish language. Yeah, it would be if we searched for certain other words like fuck, for example. If I just search for that, excuse my language, then now if I search for that, you'll see we get the English. We should get Danish. There we are. We have a Danish line. And that's because we're including speaker lines and translation lines. And if you've used DOTE, you know we have a system, a very systematic system for translation and glossing, as well as for subtiers in Mondada system. That means we can track this very precisely and find errors. So if I say none, and now in translation lines and search again, now we should find, now we only get the English lines because we're searching only in translation lines. If I go back to yes, and you'll just show this. So I'm going to search for yes again in translation lines. We'll get quite a few because yes is used quite a few times. You can see here. So this is all instances on a line where yes is there. But notice we're missing a lot of yeses. We're missing yeses that might have a prolongation like a colon or a bracket in because there's an overlap. So here you can choose which characters to ignore. And if I ignore the colon and we search again, the list will expand a little bit. And if we go down, you'll see now we get yes with a long prolongation. And there is, I think, one more somewhere else. Yeah, there's one here with a single. If I also said here, I want to ignore all these characters, typical characters that you might find symbols within a transcript, then it will ignore all of those. But I don't think there are any yeses which have an overlap. But if there was an overlap sign inside the yes, or brackets, or equals, or a softener inside, it would be slightly unusual, then it will ignore those. You can also say whole word search as well. So we only want whole word search because some words might contain YES in them, not in this case. But you can decide all sorts of possibilities. And then there's all sorts of extra things you can do as well. You might want to add a criteria to this search, meaning you've got some way you want to refine this. You want to find yes, but it also has to have black. So if I search for black as well, and that could be in any, this is an AND operation. If I search for that, we should now get one case. Black and yes are in the same, and they're both highlighted here. So there's all sorts of features you can search for. If I clear all of those, I can add a new one, and you'll see again, not only transcripts, but tags. I can say, I want to search for one of these tags that I already know. I want to find everything which has countdown in. If I search for that, we'll get all clips. It turns out there are certain type of clips which have countdown in. They are from the transcript. And if I click here, it will open the transcript at the right place. There we are. So this is the countdown sequence, the clip that was made. So can't edit that. I clicked on there because it's currently open in DOTE, remember? So it's still open in the background in DOTE, so it doesn't allow you to edit this because that would cause a clash between the two pieces of software. So everything's working nicely today, no problems, no bugs, and I think we're pretty much done in showing you some of the features. And now we'll finish off with a Q&A for 20 minutes. So we can come back and show and share screen share to help you understand the aspects, but I'll stop sharing right now. So back to you, Jakob, if you want to run the Q&A.
Yes. So there's one question in the chat.
Yeah, the recommended approach to analyzing that, as we could go back to looking at DOTE to see what it can support, but doing analysis is really an analytical question, which going into a whole other area that these tools support. But how you would begin to analyze 360 video is we all have different ideas about doing that. And we've published papers on that. So I'm not sure if we can answer that, but we could show how 360 works in DOTE if that would be useful. Yes, please. Shall I do that, Jakob?
Yeah, please do that. And for the rest, if you have any questions, please use the chat or just raise your hand and we will address them after this one.
So I'm just going to share my screen again. And this is DOTE. And here we will have this in DOTEbase in the future where you can have multiple videos, and maybe in DOTE itself, we will also have more than 2 videos. Currently, you can have 2 videos open at the same time in the same project. And both, this one is a 2D video. It's just a flat rectangle, a typical video cam. This is a GoPro. This is a 360, an Insta360, which is a fairly sophisticated 360 camera. And I can move around, you can see. So here I can move around. I can also zoom in. And if I zoom out, you'll see it has this sort of equirectangular, it's starting to reconstruct and everything is a bit warped in places. I could change the projection here. I can't do that unless I move to, I think it's this form here. Then I could change to a different projection, which might help me better see the scene. But we prefer the DOTE projection for when you get closer. It doesn't cause distortion so much in the space that you normally look at. But as you go to the poles, the nadirs up here, you'll see there might be some weird distortions going on. So the 360 DOTE supports you being able to zoom in and out and move exactly to see what you want. And then you can go back to your format that's run by these video cues. So in developing an analysis of 360, I could also here, for example, go to another 360, this one here. This one here is also a 360 on the table. It's on the table just here. The GoPro is here. You can just see it here. There's also another camera here. There's another 360 here. We're in a 360. There are multiple 360s in the room. We can choose which one we want to view, and we can decide as we play. If I play now, here we are. You can see it's running down through the transcript. Then this, I can look anywhere I want if I want to say focus on what's happening between these two as I'm playing. And notice here, this is now an automatic pan. I'm not doing this. This is a pan that's going to shift to a new camera. It's shifted to a new camera on table 2. And that's because she's looking at the Lego block. And they are looking away behind that screen where she is. I could decide I want to see a different camera view of this. And there we have another view of them. So you can see DOTEbase uses this, but it's really all driven in DOTE using these video cues for automatically panning and zooming anywhere in the image that you need. And you can add your own view here, or you could follow it as well here if you wished, which would be pretty pointless if you wish to follow the same camera in the other view. And if you jump around, notice it will jump around too, showing you a different. This is the same table, but 2 different cameras, a 2D. This one you can zoom in, but I can't pan it because this is a 2D camera that's only showing us this frame. Whereas here I can move it around and see other aspects. So DOTE supports 360 in being able to find the right aspect of the 360 and then be able to cue it again in exactly the same way. You want to switch to a new camera, or I'll zoom in on somebody and add in a video cue. And then you can decide if you want to follow that. If I don't want to follow that, I can choose, no, I want to see my own view here. That's this one. And when I play, I'll see the back of them here. So this one here is being saved, and I can have a free view, which means I can move it wherever I want and nothing will be remembered. So if I go back here, we'll go back to this view, I can go back to that view, and then here, it's just a free view I can choose wherever I want. So there's a lot of tools here that are all reproduced in DOTEbase. I go back to DOTEbase. They're not showing here, but if I change the layout to, say, starting layout, then you'll see here we have here track for the video cues that are made in DOTE, here the saved view from DOTE, and here your own free version in DOTEbase. Very similar to the ones we see here in DOTE, but the free version is particular to the software. I hope that helps.
I think we have a raised hand from Uwe. Yes, thank you so much. I've been highly anticipating this, and you guys do not disappoint, I must say. Um, I have two questions. So one concerns licensing. I'm sorry. At the moment, when you purchase a pro license, you get like three licenses in one package, right? And I've seen that in order to license Dote and DOTEbase, you need two licenses essentially. So that kind of means that if I want to run both of them on two computers, I can't do that at the moment with a single license because there's only three individual licenses and I would need four for that. Are there plans on increasing the number of licenses you get when purchasing a pro license, or not? Because I presume from the way you presented it, the idea is still that you do the transcription work in Dote and then work with the transcripts that you've created in DOTEbase. So that would mean I would always, if I work with this on two different computers, I would always have to activate and deactivate licenses if I wanted to do that. And the second question is there a way of thinking about collaborative work with colleagues here? Is there a way of sharing Dote spaces with colleagues in collaborative projects, given that all of this is pretty much local? So that would be my two
I
questions.
can answer the second one, but Jakob, maybe you answer the first one.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Uwe Alexander. We will take that into consideration. Things went pretty fast in the end, and of course, it's an option for us to increase the number to four. Um, we will think about it. It's not a dead end at all.
Yeah, and the second question about collaboration, if I just share again, I'll show you what is possible. So here you see I have now I could have multiple transcripts open as well, just to show you the sophistication. For example, if I click here, you can have four different transcripts open at the same time. Then if you go up here, you'll see export and import. So you can export a DOTE space and you can decide what aspects you want to be exported. So if I click that, you should see a window and it says, okay, where do you want to save this? Do you want to export the checkpoints and auto backups? That's from DOTE for all your DOTE projects. Your collections data, do you want people to see all your collections and click collections for this DOTE space? And your presets, so you can actually export your presets so other people can use them. And you can decide which one. I have three here. These are all for future videos that we're doing. So I have here one here, this Lego demo, and I can decide which ones of these I want to. I might not want to export the media because they're so sensitive and I want to share it with somebody that they could see the transcripts, but actually not play the media because of GDPR. So you can decide exactly which transcripts and media you want to export. And you can't currently export if you have it open in DOTE, so it's giving you a warning. And that's because I do have it in DOTE in the background, so I can switch between them. So this means you can create a DOTE space and then export all the projects with all the media, and then somebody else could work on that, send it back. Or you could, so that means it's a linear process, meaning one person works, they get it, give it to somebody else, they work on it, they give it back. And that can be, you need to have a nice way of sharing huge files because as you know, the Lego demos are 1.7 gigabytes, which is all the media files, many media files, all the transcripts. It's mainly the media files, of course, is taking up the space. The other way is, of course, you can work in DOTE. And if you make a project in DOTE and you work on that separately, you just have to share that and then somebody puts it in their DOTE space. So somebody could be gathering in the team all the projects you're working on independently. So somebody's transcribing that part, somebody's another part, and then put them together. So we designed it that way because we have a lot of student group work, and student groups, projects of 3, 4, 5 students need to work on different parts of their transcripts for their project work in each semester. So that allows them to work as a team. So there are ways to do that, but we do have a plan of being able to merge DOTE spaces and merge them together, or have somebody work on different parts of the projects and combine them very, very quickly so that teams can work very fast in a DOTE space. But those are not built in at the moment, but those are on development pipeline. But so a very good question, is something that we do wish to support. And there's always a trade-off between being local, distributed, and being centralized. And if you use Transana, for example, it might have a central server. Then if the server goes down, you lost everything. If it's a cloud-based, the cloud's not available, or they've done something, corrupted the data, it's gone down completely. So ours is being in DOTE, as you may know, it's got 2 fail-safe backups and checkpoints, which allow you to create different sorts of backups of your data as your transcripts as you're developing them and go back in time and look at them. Then we're trying to make it so that it's really, you're not going to lose anything ever. Everything's local and it's very flexible. There's always a trade-off with that. And you've spotted it quite quickly.
Well, I think it's still great that it's possible. Thank you.
Yeah, so it'll be a little tricky at working on the same thing at the same time. So you're just back and forth. Coben, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I had a question about export formats, in particular with the media clipping feature and a media clipping collection.
Yeah.
What are the options for exporting that? Can it be exported as a spreadsheet or something like that?
So far, we haven't built any dedicated export options because we weren't quite sure what people would want. Everything is stored in human readable JSON in the DOTE project folders and transcript folders, making it open for other people to make converters as well. But there's no other format for going to CSV or Excel or anything like that at this point. So if you have a request, feel free to put it in.
Yeah. No, I think, just, time codes and a CSV file and all the data structured in a consistent way. This was the only thing I think people would want. But it sounds like, you could write a script to get that from the original files. So, and now with the help of AI, anybody can write scripts. So it's convenient.
Also true. Yeah, we are trying to keep all the data as open as possible. So rather than trying to also support all the softwares out there, we're hoping the community can help us a little bit in doing all the translations between one software and another.
Yeah, I mean, we could just share our AI-generated scripts that build things on these open files. Yeah.
Yeah, the only one we did was for SRT, as that seems to be very, very common. And we partnered with MacWhisper to have them export a JSON format that we can natively read as well. But that was just as a starting point. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you see that here, import transcript from JSON. So in DOTE, you can just export from OpenWhisper and imports directly from here, also from SRT if you have a standard SRT file. So you can bring some data. We've started adding certain formats you can bring into DOTE. But clearly, the main thing here was to get a really fantastic tool set. And then we'll start thinking of what are the main areas that people would like us to focus on, export and new forms of visualization, like certain charts, which other software might support for quantitative analysis, then we could support. But as Alex says, then the JSON files, you can actually just see directly all of the clips and the time codes, they're all there. So they're all just readable anyway.
Just to clarify, not OpenWhisper. MacWhisper is a certain implementation where we communicate with the developer. OpenWhisper is a bigger project that we don't really have a connection with to get that export put in. So Windows users will have to hack their own solution a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Aalborg University, which has it available.
Oh, they built their
cloud service. Yeah,
I
so I was mistaking it for that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Anything that somebody would like us to demo in the last 5 minutes? Something else? Some other thing that Chinese characters, it's Yule Unicode. So, and I don't know how many Unicode symbols and characters there are, but it will support, if they are those Chinese characters are in Unicode, it will support that as it does it with emojis. Emojis are Unicode. So as you can see, we had emojis everywhere. So that should be no problem. That was in the chat.
Yeah, all the 2-byte characters should work and be respected in all places where editing happens. I don't know if there's any 3-byte language characters, but so Chinese should be supported just fine. Feel free to let us know if it isn't in some place and we'll fix it.
Unless someone else has a better question, could you show off how to rearrange the view so that you can make it how you like? I know there's presets, but could you show off how to do it custom? Because you can do it custom, can't you?
Yeah, everything can be anywhere you like it.
As you see, this one here is one of the layouts. It's called the Works 4K layout. But you might not like this. You might want to have only 2 transcripts. So here I can get rid of these one by one, and then I could have 2 side by side like this. And then I can drag these borders. You see I get a little drag, so I can drag the border. I can take the main tab of a panel here and I can drop it, for example, on another tab, say there. So we have 2, and I could switch between them. And I can drag them into other places. So I can go, if I drag it down far enough, you'll see it goes gray. If I let go, it appears down here. If I don't have one, you can see I have a search. I can have multiple searches. So in search here, if I click search, I can have a second search. So if I search for something here, I can then open up a new search with the different terms, and I leave the old one there and then have an endless number of searches available in this panel.
Only searches and transcripts can you have more than one of. All the other tools are only once, and they become grayed out buttons along the top once they are open somewhere.
And there's a tag manager. If I click here and then open the tag manager allows us, we haven't shown that yet. It shows all tags that are available in a DOTEspace or a selected DOTEspace or all DOTEspaces. You can see, because I have also a written data corpus example here with newspaper articles just to try it. They are there as transcripts, which I can work up. You can see here they are to do with exams that I had to do with politics, global politics. Then there's things to do with Taiwan. You can see I've marked some of these already here. All I had to do was say all DOTEspaces, and it's including all the other ones that I have. I could say only the active one, and then I can look here at swearing. Okay, these are 2 in the transcripts. There are 2. 1 there and 3 in this transcript, and I can just click on those and I can view those straight off. So it allows me, and there I can also, if I right click, then I can rename. So I could rename that tag, or I could merge it with another tag. So there's a nice tag manager. So we forgot about that to show off our tag manager. And that tag manager I can move anywhere. So you can see I can move it anywhere I would like it to be, where I have some space. I have a 4K monitor here. So I can see this quite well. You probably can't read it too well because it's being reduced down to a 1080 normal display. But I like to have lots and lots of windows open. And as you can have multiple transcripts, then we do offer a default comparing transcripts that just focuses on 2 transcripts at the same time. If you activate, you can decide which other one you would like to see. So here I can say I want to see this one, for example. You can see there's a Mondatum one that hasn't yet started. There is no transcript. It's just got the metadata at the top. Now it's the same one as that one. If I choose this one here, this one, then you see I can have 2 transcripts open at the same time. The other is, what tools do you need to focus on what you need to do? And we've made some basic layouts. And you can make your own ones, and all you have to do in layout is say save current layout and give it a name, and then you can delete it if you don't want to use it again. You can't change the list order. You can't re-edit them in any way. You just have to delete and save a new one, which you've got the better order. Lots of possibilities for making a layout. We will backport this into Dote. So Dote will have all this, hopefully in the autumn, Dote will have all of this wonderful user interface that you can assemble as you wish, because it's quite a fixed layout at the moment.
It's also worth mentioning there's on the right side of each window panel an expansion button, so you can temporarily make any one window full size. Could be useful if you want to look at the video for a moment, just full size it. Yeah,
so good for presentations. There, so we can see the video and we can play that. It's got a timeline, which is as a sub panel, but it's not showing that, of course. And go back, and it could be you want to get everything and just look at the transcript, and then really focus on the video and also focus on the transcript, and just it's cool. It's like a Zen mode where you can only focus on one tool at a time.
It's also worth mentioning that the Canvas tool is a separate window entirely. Paul was tabbing back and forth between them, but if you have 2 monitors, or if you made this smaller, you could. That's a whole separate window that can be somewhere else. So you're not taking up screen real estate when looking at the canvas.
Yeah, so here I have a canvas. If I just shrink that, then you could see here, we can have a small canvas that we could focus in on. So if I move it up, and then if I click here on a transcript, it moves exactly to that point. So this is the, here it's the full countdown, it's that part there. You get a little animation as well when you do it, so you can see what it is. So you can have this canvas window open as a small, and you can have this open as a small window too, and focus in Zen mode, and then while you're looking at something else, some other piece of software.
There was a question from Yvonne about asking how to display two parallel conversations in DOTE. Perhaps we can also show that they can be run at the same time. So if, for example, you have multiple things going on at the same time, you could have them roll side by side. If you have an example of that.
Having
if you have two transcripts for the same event side by side.
We can't do that in DOTE.
Not in DOTE, sorry. I think it's, oh, no, not in DOTE. I see. She was asking
in DOTEbase we can do that as we have here. But in DOTE we can't do that yet. But hopefully in the autumn that might be possible to have multiple transcript windows and multiple video windows for the same project.
Although, of course, you could also have DOTE and DOTEbase and two different monitors or side by side, looking at one, typing in the other. Nothing to stop you from that.
Yeah, so here I can have this, so you could have multiple representations while you're working at the same time, switching between them like this. If I made also this one smaller, I can see I have just a browser open in case we needed. So here I can have, I can do this and this. So here I can have them both open at the same time. It's a bit cluttered, but I can move this. So I can have multiple different videos. I can have 3 here, play them separately, but they're not integrated. So it's just a matter of having different software open at the same time and adjusting the windows. But we do hope to have a lot of these elements in DOTE by Christmas. So that's the plan, because we really like it. and
obviously,
it should be in DOTE.
Anytime you make changes in DOTE and click save, they will immediately appear in DOTEbase.
There was a question about English translation in a line. Can we delete the line number? This is for export. So this is an issue. Yeah. If you go to export to RTF, then for DOTE, you'll see here is where the real line numbering gets done, exported for RTF, which can be opened in any word processor, Word, for example, or Google Docs. Then here you can decide how do you want things to be viewed. Do you want to have export with sub-tier labels? For example, here, do you want to have proper formatting of certain type? You can see here. Do you want to have all line numbers or only primary lines? And so here you see now we have the translation without a line number. So there's a lot of choices for a Jeffersonian, and there's far more interesting choices for a Le Mondaden, which has a very special formatting style. So this allows you to get a nice layout. And when you export this line numbering and everything and the tab spacing, everything like that will work in Word directly. This is basically what you will see in a word processor. So you do that later, because the line numbers inside DOTE and DOTEbase are notional. These are not real line numbers. They are just helpful for tracking in the current editing process and analytical process. But you can export them as you wish.
The hour is up.
Was there anything just to finish off on there that we missed?
There was a nice question about if you can include the markup when you export. I think that's nice.
The colors. Yeah, that is included. Yeah. Was that saying that's good, or was there?
No.
You can't export it.
The clipping.
You can export it. Yeah, it does export to Word.
No,
it does. It's not there because why is it not there? It should be showing hint syntax highlighting here. Is that a bug?
I think we're talking about clips, exporting.
But we're talking about exporting tags, the clips, the overlays.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not really sure how to format that exactly. Word doesn't have equivalents to those things.
And you can just take a screenshot if you need to. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll have an export as image option of your whole transcript. That might be an option.
Yeah, I thought it was the color coding, the syntax
No,
parsing,
no.
but I noticed there it wasn't showing when we did showing the RTF. I don't know why. It
I
should be
think-
able to export those colors anyway.
Yes, it can. I think maybe export as image might be the only way we can really support recreating that for insertion into presentation or something, other than screenshotting, which is hard to get the whole transcript in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rough.
Okay, so great questions. Hopefully you are empowered to get stuck into trying it out, and it's now an integrated tool set that works all the way through the whole process, from working with media right the way through transcription to starting at proto analysis, and hopefully some of the tools will really help you.
If you have more questions, feel free to jump on Discord and send it our way, or suggestions of which things you would like to see or have added, import, export formats, etc. All that information is on the website, and of how to get on the Discord, etc. Or if you've bought a license, it should also be in the email.
Yeah. And please share the great news of DOTEbase with all your colleagues, family, and friends, cats and dogs, whatever. We really hope that this can support all your work with audiovisual data, but also, as Paul mentioned, text-based corpuses as well, written text or so. Thank you for participating today, and make qualitative analysis fun again.
Yep. Bye for now.
And have a nice summer.